Botany is a branch of biology concerned with the study of plants. Plants are now defined as multicellular organisms that carry out photosynthesis. Organisms that had previously been called plants, however, such as bacteria, algae, and fungi, continue to be the province of botany because of their historical connection with the discipline and their many similarities to true plants, and because of the practicality of not fragmenting the study of organisms into too many separate fields. Plants, trees, herbs, and flowers were one of the most wonderful creations of God that support the necessities of other living beings. God created His masterpieces with wisdom. In every smallest intricate of His works, like seeds, there is a hidden wisdom. From the smallest things that were created, from the biggest it could be, God programmed His works. How magnificent things He had done! Full of systems for order, and no one can create a single thing like He does. Plants are any member of the plant kingdom, which are about 260,000 known species of mosses, flowers, ferns, herbaceous, and woody plants, bushes, vines, shrubs, trees, and various other forms that covers the earth and are also found in its waters. Then God said, "Let the land produce vegetation, seed-bearing plants and tree on the land that bear fruit with seed in it, according to their various kinds." And it was so. The land produced vegetation, plants bearing seed according to their kind, and trees bearing fruit with seed in it according to their kinds. And God saw that it was good. From a small seed, the ripened ovule of a plant before germination, to a seedling that develops for a certain periods of time, with the help of proper soil, sunlight, and water, a plant became to exist. It was programmed by God how will they grow and do their part in the equilibrium of the ecosystem. Plants are multicellular eukaryotes. Their cells contain membrane-bound structures called organelles. Plants have these similarities from other eukaryotes because their cells are enclosed by less rigid cell walls composed primarily of cellulose. The ability of photosynthesis is the most important characteristic of plants. During photosynthesis, plants make their own food by converting light energy into chemical energy, a process carried out in the green cellular organelles called chloroplasts. Plants were created by God to support the survival of their fellow creations, especially for man, as stated in the scriptures. God created bearing plants to be able for man to eat. Nowadays, plants have many uses for the human race. There's only a tiny percentage of plant species that directly used by humans for food, shelter, drugs, and fiber. Rice, wheat, corn, legumes, cotton, conifers, and tobacco were on the top list which whole economies and nations depend. The even greater importance to humans of plants is the indirect benefits reaped from the entire plant kingdom and its more than 1 billion years of carrying out photosynthesis. The fossil fuels that provide power for industrial society had lain down by plants, and throughout long history, sufficient oxygen to the atmosphere to support the survival of higher animals have supplied by plants. The world's biomass today is composed of plants, which not only underpin almost all food webs, but also modify climates and create and hold down soil, making what would otherwise be stony, sandy masses habitable for life. The Lord God made all kinds of trees grow out of the ground, trees that were pleasing to the eye and good for food. In the middle of the garden were the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Days in the end comes nearer and nearer. Destruction of the environment nowadays is one of the signs. Trees were cut illegally. Some were gone because of fire. Some were cleared because of mining intentions. And there are some other methods that made the ecosystem miserable. In nexus with that, since plants do their part in the equilibrium, what will happen if they were destroyed? Do some of us realize that some other creatures will be affected? What would animals feel? How about plants by themselves? Are they hurt? Based on some sort of studies in New York and Germany, the statement that plants can respond made possible. In a study in Germany, they test that plants can feel pain. With a mimosa plant as the subject for the experiment, an anesthetist conducted as unusual experiment on houseplant. Either a knockout drug used in humans was injected in the plant. The mimosa didn't respond on the drug because plants have no nerves. Other specialists used electrical signals that made the plant to flinch. Giving the plant 2 examples electricity implants made them have electrical signals for them to respond. On the other hand, in New York, science students from New York University made a study that plants can talk. They used such transmittal devices for the plants to respond and made the plants ask for water if needed made possible. The fig tree ripens its figs, and the vines are in blossom. They give forth fragrance arise, my love, my beautiful one, and come away. Nowadays, human relationship with plants is nearly reversed. A majority of people have no contact, or a little of them with plant cultivation. The farmers are becoming more and more specialized in single crops. The breeding process has been greatly accelerated because of the advances in genetics. Plant geneticists are now able to develop. A GMO, or genetically modified organisms, is a result of a laboratory process where genes from DNA, which is the blueprint of life, are extracted and artificially combined to an unrelated species of life. Although the advances of genetics in producing crops become higher, GMO products have bad effects in the equilibrium. First of all, it was against the nature. God created things according to its kind, and mixing different species together can be unhealthy, can harm the environment, and so many more bad effects may happen. After all, if you were cut out of an olive tree that is wild by nature, and contrary to nature were grafted into a cultivated olive tree, how much more readily will this, the natural branches, be grafted into their own olive tree? I know that everything God does will endure forever. Nothing can be added to it and nothing taken from it. God does it so that people will fear Him. As human beings, do we have the right to modify God's masterpiece? God created things with wisdom and all are magnificent. Let's appreciate those, and we should take good care of them for preservation and survival. Don't do bad things because of intentions. Making things in order may not bring anyone in chaos. God saw all that He had made, and it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the 6th day.